This is Insight Today on Global Television. Now, the federal government has directed that admission to tertiary institutions should not be given to candidates less than 18 years old. The Minister of Education, Tahir Mamman, gave the directive on Monday during a monitoring exercise of the ongoing 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME in Bwari, Federal Capital Territory. He decried the activities of some parents pressuring their underage students to get admission into tertiary institutions. Now, the minister said the 18-year-old benchmark is in line with the 6334 education system. The minimum age of entry to university is 18 years. But we have seen students who are 15 or 16 years old going in for entrance examinations. Parents should be encouraged not to push their wards too much. Mostly, it is the pressure of parents that is causing this. Now, setting the minimum entry age into tertiary institutions at 18 years by the federal government is crucial for various reasons. One key reason is to ensure that students have reached a certain level of maturity and readiness for the academic challenges of higher education. At 18 years old, students are generally more prepared to handle the rigors of tertiary education, engage in critical thinking, and make informed decisions about their academics and career paths. Now, moreover, establishing a minimum entry age helps in maintaining a level playing field for all students. It ensures that students have completed their secondary school education and have had the necessary time to develop academically and personally before entering tertiary institutions. This can contribute to a more conducive learning environment and promote better academic outcomes. Additionally, the age requirements can also be linked to legal considerations such as ability to enter into contracts, make independent choices, and take responsibility for one's action. Now, by setting a minimum age, the government aims to protect the rights and interests of the students entering tertiary institutions. In summary, the federal government's decision to set 18 years old as the minimum entry age into tertiary education is aimed at promoting academic readiness, ensuring a fair academic environment, and aligning with legal considerations related to students' rights and responsibilities. You're welcome to Insights Today. I am Jumai Manson. I am joined by Dr. Moses Saleh. He is a research fellow. Sit back, relax. The program continues shortly.
Please recommend that.
All right, you're welcome back. And if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today. And we're looking at education, the federal government. There's this proposal that has to do with 18 years old as the minimum age to gain admission into the tertiary, or will I say, the higher institution. And like I said, I'm not doing it alone. I have Dr. Moses Saleh, who is a research fellow, who is here with me on the program. Good afternoon, Dr. Moses. Good afternoon. Dr. Moses, are you here?
I can hear you.
All right, Dr. Moses, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
I am fine. Thank you for being a part of the program Inside Today, and thank you for joining me on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now let's take a look. What's your take on the 18 years being the age to attend or gain admission into the higher institution? How visible is this in the Nigeria of today that we find ourselves?
Yeah, it is visible. It's just that, the problem we have is that all these years we have not been actually enforcing our educational system. We have the 633 system that we run. And if you look at how that system works, before anyone should be rounding up from post-primary school, the person should be within the threshold of 16, 17, thereabout. So you now have 1 year to write your exam in terms of your JAM and whatever exams that you need to write to get yourself ready for university or tertiary education. So, but we have seen cases whereby people get admission, at the age of 15, they are enrolled, as they are just leaving maybe secondary school, 14, thereabout. By 15, they are already in the university. So at that 18, they are at the verge of concluding their university education. By the time they get out of university, you see that they are still very young. And you know what happens to young people? Their minds are not yet fully matured. They are still being carried by their parents. And also the confidence that you expect a graduate to demonstrate, you don't see that confidence in them and all that. So these are some of the issues. And again, when you have more people graduating at that age of 18, 19, and thereabout, you see that the job market is already full because of the number of young people that are coming in. People that should be coming in at 22, 23, they are now coming in at 19 and all that. So
20.
The demand for job is high.
It's very high.
So I think these are some of the issues they are trying to address by coming out with that policy.
All right, Dr. Moses. The Minister, Tahir Mamman of Education, he gave the directive on Monday during a monitoring exercise of the ongoing 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination in Buhari, the federal capital. And he said the activities of some parents pressurizing their underage children, or will I say students, to get admission into tertiary institutions. But looking at it critically, Dr. Moses, how true is this statement? Well, if a child is not intelligent enough, I know back in the day, they had to measure kids with the hand in the ear. But sometimes in these schools, I know there are some exams that are set for the children before they go into, let's say, primary to secondary. And that is the age that you go into the tertiary institution. So how true is this? How does this have to do with any parent pressurizing the child when, as if a child can read 1, 2, 3 or ABC when he's supposed to be in pre-nursery and he's in primary 1, is doing so well? Isn't there anything like age is nothing but a number? Isn't it the capacity and, of course, the intelligence of that child that matters most? Don't you think?
Yes, I agree with you, especially in this digital age. You realize that, the kids that we have in this age are quite intelligent, quite brilliant, because of the access that they have to digital information and all that. So that, helps them to, to know things quickly and faster. But notwithstanding, I don't think age is a barrier to knowledge. As a teacher and as an academic, age is not a barrier. What actually is required is the zeal, the willingness, and the determination to learn. So, and anybody can learn at any age. It does not matter your age. You have people who are quite young that are very, very knowledgeable.
Very
And we have people who are
knowledgeable.
older that are not even they are not. So age is
That
not
is true.
an issue when it comes to issue of the knowledge. But notwithstanding, even when you go through the university, before you are issued a certificate, that certificate, they will tell the vice chancellor will say that we have found you worthy of knowledge and character, of learning and character. Sorry, you have been found worthy of learning and character. These two things must go together, yes, to make you a proper person. So, and you know how character evolves. Evolves time with experience and all kinds of things that helps to shape someone's character. So I don't see age as an obstacle or as a barrier to knowledge. I don't see age as. In fact, it's an advantage that when you are young, you learn quicker, you learn faster, and all, and you tend to know many things. So even in this age, with the age of technology, people learn things far bigger than their age. So age is not actually the issue. I think what the government is trying to address is to try to reduce the number of unemployed people that comes into the job market. By trying to peg the number of years or the ages of people that must get into the tertiary. So, and it's not only in Nigeria, even in abroad, in the US and other places, you must get to a certain age before you are allowed to go to, to the college or to the university.
18.
So you must attain that age. So there are people who got admission into Ivy League schools. Maybe at 16, they have to wait for 2 more years before they are allowed to go to start their program. So it's not something that is restricted to Nigeria. It's something that is, it's a norm everywhere.
All right, Dr. Moses, I want to take a look at, let's take it back last week, Saturday, where the Education Minister, Tahir Mamman, who went and he oversaw the JAMB matriculation examination that took place in various CBT centers. Now, and he said something, he said there are like over 100 students who took these exams. And with the look of things, 20% out of these numbers will be taken into admission. Now, what happens to 80% of these students? Now, are they trying to portray, I'm looking at maybe, and he mentioned skill acquisition. So are they trying to portray that most Nigerians, which is true, are not really in depth when it comes to skill acquisition? We don't see any higher institution that says, okay, this particular institution is an institution for skill acquisition, where there is carpentry, where there is a mechanic, where there is a lot of things when it comes to skill. We do not see that in higher institutions. Do you think people streamline and galvanize this particular sector when it comes to skill acquisition? Because we do not take it seriously here.
No, I don't agree with that. Even, we have technical schools, technical colleges owned by even the federal government, that those things you are talking about are taught. Carpentry, mechanics, plumbing, and all kinds of artisanal skills. They are taught in those places. And, they have workshops. They have laboratories where they practicalize those things. And when you get to the tertiary level, you go to University of Agriculture, for instance. You will see some of these things that are there, that you are taught in agricultural technology, wherever you see how you can fabricate some of this technology, agricultural input and all that. You go to polytechnics. In fact, polytechnics are designed for that purpose.
Dr.
it's just
Moses,
that they drip
let's quickly
fed.
go on a
Yes.
very quick break. We'll be back shortly. Just a very quick break. A very quick break. Please stay tuned.
All right, see you then.
Welcome back to the program. Apologies for that very short break. And we're back and we're better now. Dr. Moses, are you still here? Dr. Moses?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right, Dr. Moses, please continue from where you stopped. You spoke about polytechnics and you said you beg to differ with me.
Yes, I said the polytechnics are, if you look at their conceptual design, you realize that they were designed to help in bridging, this gap, technological gap, in terms of, bridging some of these things that we need in indigenous technology, doing research and creating them, then industries can come and pick it up from there and mass produce those things. So the polytechnics were designed for that. We also have monotechnics. We have monotechnics that are into harvesting this, training people on this kind of hands-on skills on how to do some of these things, how to make shoes, how to, to produce little things that, you can do even in your house. So these institutions, they exist. But the question is that most people, because of the reward system that comes after you have gone through acquiring this skill, it's not that attractive. So they are now,
Very true.
focusing on to get a degree so that you can get a job and all that. And you won't blame them for that because we are not a producing nation. If Nigeria have, that strong industrial base that require the skills of these people, maybe you have across the country, we have big shoe manufacturing industries. Definitely the skill of these people who have acquired the skill of shoemaking, shoe repairs and all that, they will be needed in those places. Also, we have a place where we have mass production of plumbing materials, tiles, and all kinds of things. The skills of these people will be needed because they will be engaged by these companies. Those who come to buy those products from them, they may need someone to go and install it for them in their home. Then they send them along and they go for installation, they go for maintenance, they go for that. But those industries are not existing. We are importing those things.
But Dr. Moses,
So
okay, you were saying something. I wanted you to finish first.
If we can look at our manufacturing, if we can look at our manufacturing sector, by seeing how we can revive our manufacturing sector, then you will realize that the product from these technical colleges, from the polytechnics, from the monotechnics, they will be gainfully employed and well paid so that they can be able to earn a living from doing that kind of job. But because they are not having that now, they prefer to go to the university and get a degree and look for a job. And that is where the problem lies. We need to increase our
And
industrial
not
base
just the,
wherever
where
we
the
can manufacture
not just
some
where
of
the
these things
problem
locally.
lies. Dr. Moses, not just where the problem lies, but do we really have an enabling environment to accommodate and acquire these skills? Like you mentioned, the polytechnics where they have all of these things, but we don't have a manufacturing place, a manufacturing company. But if you look at Aba Market, we have where they make, there's a place where they manufacture and produce shoes. But because the government, I think the government has a bigger role to play in all of this because they've not really invested when it comes to promoting these individuals. And that is why many parents will not allow their children to go. If you have to pick between the polytechnic and the higher institution, for instance, the university, everyone will want to run to university, yes, because you said because of the rewards that are attached to it. But really, if we had an enabling environment that promotes this skill acquisition, don't you think that many parents will consider their children going into it and finding a future in it? Don't you think so, Dr. Moses?
Yes, that is why I said we are saying almost the same thing because it is the reward system that is the problem. And I'm trying to tell you that the reason why we are having problems in terms of the remuneration of people with such skill is because our manufacturing base is very, very low. If we focus on manufacturing, focus on production, the skills of these people will be highly needed. Their skills will be highly needed to be of great demand. If you look at those countries that are coming to pick up artisans from Nigeria, Canada, and the rest,
True.
you see that they are looking for plumbers, they are looking for electricians, they are looking for
Mechanics,
tilers, they are looking for carpentry, they are looking for mechanics and all that. The reason why they are looking for such skill is because they have a very strong industrial base. Those industries, they need those people to go for installation. They need those people to carry out repairs. They need those people to service their customers and all that and their economy. That is why they are coming here to pick those people. And those people acquire the skills here in our technical colleges, in our monotechnics, in our polytechnics, in our schools. They acquire those skills here. But instead of them, because government have subsidized those training processes for citizens, when they acquire those skills, instead of them using that skill, to contribute to the development of the country, they use it elsewhere. Other countries come to pick those people and begin to reap from where they didn't sow. So that is where the problem lies. It's good to peg the age, but if even pegging the age is just going to bring a momentary relief. It's not going to solve the problem. When you need to look at your industrial base, your production. When you are producing, there will be demand for labor. And when there is demand for labor, the skills will be demanded. And when those skills will be demanded, the people with those skills will be engaged.
Very true.
As people begin to, then you see that the economy begin to grow and things will begin to happen. But you now go straight to treat the symptoms while the root causes are there,
still there.
unaddressed.
You're right.
You have not done yet. You have not solved the problem.
Exactly. Now, looking at not solving the problem, now looking at the minister, now to me, because this is a proposal by the federal government, I think the minister, he has not addressed the fundamentals, just as you said before, this suggestion of the 18 years minimum of gaining admission into the tertiary institution. Now, don't you think this will cause more harm than good? Because if a student is 16 years old, or let's say 15, I have a sister who gained admission to the university at 16, and she graduated very of mass communication, is doing well in society as we speak. Now, for who do not believe in skill acquisition, like what you've mentioned. There is nothing in it. There's no promotion when it comes to skill in Nigeria. People don't take it to a high-notch area when it comes to companies who promoting, celebrating. It's only when they're abroad that they are being celebrated, who they take carpentry as something that is worth value. But here in Nigeria, which parents will have that time? A child waiting for 2 whole years. I'm talking as someone who is 16 now, 16, 17, 18. Don't you think it will cause a lot of crime in our society? Or this only applies to the rich who goes to school early and they have younger age that enters the university? So can you just differentiate it and see whether is this something that should be done now at this point?
Yes, it's a policy statement. And like you are trying to say, there are consequences to every policy, being promoted by government. Yes, if you are saying that it might bring about increase in crime in the country because those who are supposed to be in school are at home
loitering around
and all that. Yes, that could bring some level of increase in crime in the society. I agree with you to that. But parents should also be innovative in the sense that when you have a child who have left secondary school at the age of 15, and if that child is to school in Nigeria, or you have to take that child to anywhere else to school, if you're to be in the US or anywhere, the child will not get into the university until that child is something of 18. So the child has about 3 years to get into university. So let that child get a skill. Let that child, enroll that child to get a skill. It might be something, bakery, how to do bakery. It might be how to make soap. Maybe, one thing or the other that is hands-on, so that you can engage the child. The child can be doing that while studying and doing all kinds of things. There are other programs. If you want the child to go, maybe the child is trying to be a software engineer, you can now enroll that child where they do this local computing education and all that. The child will pick up some knowledge from there. By the time the child gets into the university and begin to go through studies, you will see that the child will be doing far better than his or her. That is the way out. If you have a child that has left school at the age of 15 and the child has about 3 more years to be enrolled in the university system, that 3 years, a lot could be achieved.
But Dr. Moses, I want to come in now. Please, I really need to come in. Now, when you say 3 years, that's a lot. Because if the child entered the university at 15, 16, 17, 18, the child would have been in year 3. And with the Nigeria of today, with the economy, the hardship and all of that, you think parents will want to spend a lot when it comes to allowing the child to acquire skill and go into the tertiary institution? That's a lot. There are some parents who, like what the Minister of Education, Tahir Mamman, said, most parents actually pressurize their children to go into school early because they want them to graduate on time. So they can come and say they will know in their heart that they are done when it comes to education. They are done in that aspect of their lives. And for me, this will cause a lot of fudgery, because a lot of parents who will look at it and say to themselves, why will I wait 3 years when my child can be in year 3, learning a skill, using that money for skill, and then using that another money so much? Where is the money? We see the state of which we are in Nigeria at this point. The economy, the high cost of living, fuel subsidy, electricity hike, and all of that. You think parents will actually understand and say, okay, fine, the child that is 15 years, go learn a skill, then I will still train you again? Where is the monies for all of these things? I think we should ask ourselves that question, Dr. Moses.
Yes, I quite appreciate, your concern. I quite appreciate your concern. But, that's government's position. And it's not restricted to Nigeria, as we said earlier. It's not restricted to Nigeria.
But this has always been our
So,
pattern. It
I'm
has
just
been
trying.
on for
Yes,
so
I'm
many
just trying.
years.
I'm just trying to see if there are opportunities within this policy that is coming up, that in such a way that instead of allowing your children to just stay at home and be watching TV, doing nothing, and say they are waiting for to get into
Exactly.
school, they can do something that could be more meaningful. If, for instance, a child begin to learn photography, for instance, within that and become a very good, with the aid of technology, and that child becomes a very good photographer. Do you know that photography can pay that child's school fees, can pay that child's through school, even up to PhD level, if he or she wants. But because people don't see opportunities in those things. But if you allow the child to acquire that skill and begin to use their creativity to produce photography that is top notch, that child, with that photography, that child could pay his or her way through school with minimal parental support.
Dr. Moses, I think we have a break in our network there, but I'm sure Dr. Moses.
Their time to have. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
So, allow them to acquire additional skill that will be very helpful to them. Today, you can see celebrity cooks. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Dr. Moses, go ahead.
Today you can see celebrity cooks, those who are cooking for people. Even here in Nigeria, people cook indigenous food and they send it to customers abroad.
But Dr. Moses, how many of our celebrities as we speak, how many of them are graduates? Let's ask ourselves the truth and let's be realistic. Once a child starts seeing money, starts making money, we spoke about, you're laughing now because we mentioned about the advantage and disadvantage. Now, for some parents, once you spoke about photography and the child starts making so much money, the child is comfortable. Do you think the child will be willing to go back into the tertiary institution? There are so many celebs that we see that have made so much money, and when you ask them, have you gone to the higher institution, they tell you no. The highest they went to secondary school. I can name but a few now, but I just don't want to mention names. We know a lot of them, a lot of celebrities who have not even gone into the four walls of the university because they are making so much money. Now, these children are young. They acquire a skill and they start making money from the skill. Once money starts coming in, do you think they'll still have the interest of going into the tertiary institution? Considering the Nigeria we have today.
That is a challenge. That is a challenge you are talking about. You see, parents.
All right, I think we have a small hitch when it comes to our network, but I'm sure Dr. Moses will be joining us soon. Dr. Moses, are you here? All right, let's quickly go on a very quick break. Inside Today continues shortly on Global Television. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to Inside Today. If you're just tuning in, yes, it's Inside Today on Global Television. And we're looking at the education sector, and we're looking at the federal government proposal setting in the minimum entry age into tertiary institution at 18 years by the federal government is crucial for various reasons. Now, one of the key reasons to ensure that students have reached a certain level of maturity and readiness for the academic challenges of higher institution, which they will face ahead. Now, I sat back and I've been speaking with Dr. Moses Saleh, who is a research fellow. I've been talking at length when it comes to this particular issue. It is sensitive because there are some students who are fast learners, who are very fast when it comes to primary, secondary, and of course the tertiary institutions. There are some that do not have that interest when it comes to skill acquisition. They just want to go to school, come out, and become what God has ordained them to do. Now, for me, I find this a little disturbing because this will cause, like Dr. Moses says, for every advantage, there's always a disadvantage. For as much as we want to curtail this issue of children who are not ready graduating from school at an early age before coming out and they have no charisma or courage being a graduate, look at our society that we find ourselves. Look at ASU. A child who is 16, 17, 18, 19 at the age of 20. With the ASU strike and all of these strikes that occur in the Nigeria of today when it comes to education, the child might end up being 22 or 23 when he or she graduates. So let's look into this very critically and be sure that we have all the fundamentals in place. Now, at 18 years old, students are generally more prepared to handle the rigors of tertiary education. But like I mentioned, age is nothing but a number. Many would agree, but many will definitely disagree. Now, engage in critical thinking and making informed decisions about their academics and career paths. Yeah, you might feel, oh, this child is just too young. He's just 16. What does he know from right, from left? But do you know there are parents in our society who actually detail and tell their children, this is the career path in which you have to follow and you will follow. It still runs here in Nigeria. Believe me, I know. And then there are some who just go to school, become a graduate and come out. As long as you're a graduate, it goes. And whatever you can do, it follows later on. But there are more who are very decisive when it comes to this. I mentioned and I said many students, many children, some do not even want to learn skills. Some are not interested. For some, is the money that is involved. Of course, we heard about the student loan that is ongoing. How many parents do you think will be able to pay that student loan? Now, spending one part of money in skill acquisition and then putting the child into university after that? Well, all hope should not be lost, they say. Let us see if Dr. Moses Saleh has joined us on the program Inside Today so I can ask more questions and be sure we get this nip in the bud. All right, Dr. Moses, are you here? Let's quickly go on a quick break and see whether he will join us really soon. Don't go anywhere, stick around. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in again, this is Inside Today on Global Television, and I am being joined by Dr. Moses Saleh. He is a research fellow, and he's here with me on the program. Dr. Moses.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you for having me back.
All right.
Yes, I'm
Dr.
here with
Moses,
you.
It's great to have you back on the program. Thanks for rejoining again.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Moses, I want to ask a question. What happens to students who are not skill acquisition concerned? They have no interest. So what happens to those categories of people? Will they be forced? of course, there are some students who believe that. Now, two questions I want to ask you quickly before we wrap it up on the program. There are some students who they just want to go into school, graduate, and they're done. It doesn't matter even if they use a certificate or not. And with the Nigeria we find ourselves today, of course, we have the likes of ASU, who we cannot predict when and what time they will be going on strike, but definitely it is a norm. From when we were all in university, of course, we all had a taste of ASU strike, except if you are in the private sector, if you went to the private university. But for those that went to the federal university, we experienced ASU strike. So for students who are 16, 17, 18, 19, graduating, we do not know even if they'll graduate at the age of 22. Of course, they'll be matured enough. If that is the concern of the Education Minister, Tahir Mamman, they will be, definitely they'll be matured. And two, for parents who determine the kind of career path for their children when it comes to being a lawyer, being a doctor, do you think they'll have any interest in skill acquisition at this point?
The world is changing, and it's changing very fast. So the need for multiple skill set acquisition is very, very important even at this time. So if you have children that are not, before now we are not interested in acquiring practical skills, hands-on, they should be encouraged to do that. They should be encouraged to do that. For instance, if you have traveled abroad and maybe places like the US, Canada, and you see large African community, and before you left, maybe you have acquired a skill of how you can plait hair. That is this female hair.
Yes.
Some people use that to make a lot of money abroad. Those who acquire the skill from there, they use that to make a lot of money. Some are students that are in school. They schedule those people, those customers are scheduled. They come to their home, or they go to their places that are convenient for them, carry out this activity. Even barbers, those who are into barbing, they do the same thing. In one way or the other, they waste. It's for you to try as much as you can to acquire it. If parents are not, advising their children to acquire multiple skills, they should be doing that now. If you have a child, whether male or female, should learn how to cook, should learn how to barb, should learn how to plait, should learn how to do one or two things, that we, give them an edge. Because you never can tell where you find yourself tomorrow that these skills will be demanded. And it will become a major support system for you.
That's true.
So we should encourage our children to do that. In fact, we should encourage them early. When they are back from school during break time, that period of break, 1 month, 6 weeks, and all that, they should use it to get a skill. That should help them. If you have, even if it's how to plait hair, they should go and observe how the hair plaiting is done. And when they have observed it for a while, they can start with their siblings at home. As they make mistakes, those mistakes are corrected. Before you know, they become perfect. And that is a skill has been acquired. The same thing goes for barbing. The same thing goes for one thing or the other, cooking and other. You never can tell, what such advantage such skill will give you in the future.
I agree no skill is wasted. I agree 100%, no skill at all. But let us look at this long term of 2 years. There's something called post-UME, where you're done with JAMB and you're about to enter the university. There's this exam you write. Don't you think federal government should review, although this is just a proposal, it hasn't been put in place yet. But for me, I think they should have like a particular class before you go into year one, where students will be given the fundamentals. Maybe they should be cancelled when it comes to being done, but then the children staying at home, at least something to just pass time for those who will not want to engage in skill acquisition. Don't you think?
You know, what is done abroad is that you can be 16 and secure an admission in the university. Doesn't stop you from enrolling in the process of giving you an admission. So the same can be implemented here.
True.
You know, when they leave school at 15, they write their JAM, go through the process of getting into school, and they are offered a provisional admission, but they will not resume until they are 18. Yes, they have their admission letter, they keep it. Do you understand? By the time they are 18, they resume schooling. So within that period, they already have their admission, which is like an insurance kept for them. You understand me? Then, if you are going to study medicine or law or something else or social sciences, while you are at home, you take advantage of the online classes. You know, you enroll in online platform. Online, there are so many online classes that they can take advantage of while they are at home waiting for resumption when they are 18. So you encourage them to be doing that, taking their classes. You know, when it's time for their classes, go and take your. By the time such person has prepared himself for or herself for 2 years, and they now resume for the face-to-face interaction in school, you see that child. If that child is serious, that child should graduate with the first class. It's an advantage.
All right. All right, Dr.
It's an
Moses,
advantage.
thank you so much for being a part of Insight today. Thank you for your well of knowledge in which you've brought on the program today. Thank you so much. Hello, Dr. Moses. All right, of course, Dr. Moses is a research fellow. Thank you so much for being a part of the program, talking about the education system. And we are looking at the federal government proposal when it comes to 18 years as the minimum age to enter the tertiary institution by students. Hope we've learned one or few things. There's no skill wasted, a lot of people would say. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program Insight today. Join me same time tomorrow. I am Jumai Manson. Bye-bye.